Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. It's time for my monthly update. Let's go! Thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate all you do to support the channel. So, September was a really good month, an unusually good reading month for me. I'm really excited to share with you all I read, and we're also going to talk about a few other things like, shows I watched in September. We're going to talk about all my goals for October. You know the drill. So before we do that, make sure that you like the video if you're enjoying it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on my future content. With that being said, guys, let's get right to the nitty-gritty, okay? Starting with September. I read 8 books in September and started 2 others. I did finally finish Jade Legacy, the final book in the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. Absolutely loved it. I will be doing a review of the series, but before I do that, I want to read The Jade Setter of Janloon, which is a novella that's set in the same universe. So I haven't read that yet, so stay tuned for that, but I absolutely loved Jade Legacy. It was a fantastic end to the series. I was sad for it to be over, and yeah, it's just really great. I'm so happy I read it. Jade Legacy was a carryover for me from August, and so I'm really glad I finally got it finished. Peace and Turmoil is another carryover from August that I finally finished in September. I did do a review for it, so I'll link that in the cards at the end of the video and in the description below if you want to check that out. I finally read Royal Assassin, the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. And oh my goodness, that was a masterpiece. I won't be doing a review for that one because it's the middle book in the series, right? And I don't want to do anything that would give you spoilers for book 1, so I will hold off until I've finished the Farseer trilogy and do a full series review. I also read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. That book was really, really good as well. And I may or may not do a review for that one. I may wait until I've read Muse of Nightmares before I do a review and just do a review for the duology. But I really, really loved Strange the Dreamer. It is a book that I ended up deciding to read as the result of a video I made called Dating My Unread Physical Books. And I'm glad that ended up being the winner because it was just an absolutely great book. I also read Small Favor, book 10 in the Dresden Files series. I'm getting really close to finishing this series, guys. I'm a little over halfway through actually, and Small Favor was just a phenomenal book, and I just keep loving this series more and more. I listened to Excalibur on audiobook. That is book 3 in the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. And man, it was so good. I'm so happy that I pressed on and continued reading this series. And I did do a review for the series, why you should read the Warlord Chronicles, and I'll link that video in the cards at the end as well. Description below, you know the drill. I did read 2 extra books that had not originally been on my plan. One of those was the audiobook for Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I will be filming a review for that one here in the near future and be putting that up. And then I also read a book that I was planning for October, and that was The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. It is the book that was the inspiration for the Hellraiser movies, and I just decided on a whim to pick that book up on the 30th and start it, thinking, it's probably going to take me a couple days to read it, so I'll just get a head start. Why not? Yeah, I finished it that same day, guys. It only took me 7 hours to read that book. I was just absolutely mesmerized by that story. So yeah, it's no longer on my October reading goals because I already finished reading it. that happens sometimes. But it's better to be ahead of the game than behind, right? So there you go. And I did start 2 books. One is Bad and Heal by I Anonymous. It's an Arthurian historical fantasy, and it's the sequel to his first book, Gurzel. And I also started reading a nonfiction book called The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching by Thich Nhat Hanh. So I'm working my way through those, and I'll probably finish those up fairly quickly here. So stay tuned for more on that. Now let's talk about Chasm Friends. I had 2 really great guests for Chasm Friends this month. Kayla from Kay's Hidden Shelf joined me around the beginning of the month, and just such a joy to have Kayla on my channel. And she's an absolutely fantastic booktuber. I really think you should check her out. Check out the episode of Chasm Friends that I did with her. And I also had Elliot Brooks on my channel. She is a very well-known booktuber. Her and her husband are close friends of mine, and I was really glad to be able to have her on the channel, and we had a great discussion. So make sure you check that one out as well. And of course, she is the author of Peace and Turmoil, which is one of the books I finished in September. So it all dovetailed together. So let's talk briefly about some of the TV shows and movies that I watched in September. Most of these I only started because there's still ongoing series. So I started watching She-Hulk, one of the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus, and it's okay. It's really, really cheesy in parts, but it's okay. It's just kind of a fun, lighthearted, brainless ride. It doesn't require a lot of thought. You just kind of sit back and enjoy it and roll your eyes a few times on occasion, So it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. I also started watching House of the Dragon, which is the prequel to Game of Thrones based on the Fire and Blood book. And I'm really, really liking that. Of all the stuff that I started watching in September, that is top of my list. I was cautiously optimistic going into it just because the quality of Game of Thrones really went downhill toward the end. And man, this is definitely a return to the glory days of Game of Thrones. It really is. This season has cranked out winners for every single episode, in my personal opinion. And I'm just absolutely loving it. I also started watching The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which is also really, really good. It feels so much like the Middle Earth I've come to know and love from the movies, and I can't wait to see where the story goes. I've also been continuing to rewatch Doctor Who with my daughter. This is kind of a first time through for her. She watched a few seasons when she was younger with me, and now we've kind of started over and gone back, and we're watching it together. This is my 3rd time through the series, and so I'm just really enjoying watching Doctor Who with her. And I also watched Prey on Hulu. It is a new Predator movie, and it is really fantastic. I'm a big fan of the first Predator movie. I mean, who wouldn't be? I did see the second Predator movie, and it was okay. Way back in the day with Danny Glover. I have not really had a desire to watch a lot of the other Predator iterations, but this one, wow, this Prey is an excellent movie. If you get a chance, you really need to check it out. So now let's get to my October goals. It is spooky month. Of course, I'm going to be reading some spooky books. I am going to be reading Dracula for the very first time. I'm going to be doing it immersively with the audiobook, so that I'm sure will be a really fun experience. I'm going to be buddy reading that with my friend Mona Lisa Reads, who has a new channel that will be going live sometime here in the near future. And so I'm excited to buddy read Dracula with her. And I may also make that a buddy read on my Discord channel. So if you want to join my Discord and join along in the buddy read there, I'll probably pop that up as a buddy read for October. I'm also going to be reading Frankenstein. I'm going to be buddy reading that with Theo from Rekindled Reader. So I'm really excited about that. It's again, my first time ever reading Frankenstein. I'm also going to be reading Turncoat, which is book 11 in the Dresden Files series. Yep, that's right. I'm continuing with my Dresden books every month. I'm also going to be reading The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. That is the book that inspired the series on Netflix. And I may, in fact, rewatch The Haunting of Hill House this month after I read the book to see how it differed, because I know it differed. I've heard a lot of people say it did. And I'm very excited to see what that book is like. I'm also going to be reading Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. This is a Hercule Poirot novel, and it's a perfect fit for October. So I'm very excited to read another Agatha Christie novel. And then finally, there is a new book coming out from Chad Nicholas. If you're not familiar with Chad Nicholas, you need to be familiar with Chad Nicholas. He wrote 2 books so far. The first one was Nightmare, and the second one was Shade. First one, Nightmare, is more of a psychological horror, and then Shade is a psychological thriller with very horrific elements for sure. Just both of those books were fantastic, and I'm really excited. I'm going to be getting a copy of his new book coming out. Hopefully I'll be reading that this month as well. I am going to continue and probably finish The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, of course, so that's probably going to happen very soon. And I probably will get back to reading Baden Hill once I've finished everything else this month as well. So I'm putting that on my priority to get it finished along with everything else I'm reading in October. So yeah, lots of stuff going on in October, but I think I can handle it. It's going to be a fun month. It's also my birthday month. I'm so excited. I do have some Chaz and Friends episodes coming this month, so look for more information on that. That will happen really soon. Now let's talk briefly about what I want to watch in October, because it's October. You gotta watch some spooky stuff, right? It seems like every year at this time we do have a ritual in our household of watching Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton, and also Coraline by Tim Burton and Neil Gaiman. So I'm really excited to see those movies again. I will be watching the new Hellraiser movie on Hulu. Now, I have never seen any of the Hellraiser movies. I haven't seen one. But apparently I'm going to start off with this one. And so that's why I wanted to read Hellbound Heart, so I could watch Hellraiser and kind of have an idea of what's going on. And I'm very excited, guys. I will be watching the new Marvel horror film, Werewolf by Night. That looks really, really cool. It reminds me of the old monster flicks, and it looks really awesome. It's definitely something different from Marvel. So that's going to be on Disney Plus. I'll be checking that out. I think it comes out on the 7th. So yeah, it's coming up this Friday. And that's also the day that Hellraiser is released. So we'll have to see which one of those I want to watch on the day it releases. I will, of course, continue watching House of the Dragon, The Rings of Power, and She-Hulk. So those will be ongoing watches for me. Doctor Who as well with my daughters. So lots of fun to come to tickle my nerdy heart. So That wraps it up, guys. That's my monthly update. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Let me know some of the things that you'll be reading and watching in October. And let me know how your month went in September. I'd love to hear your successes and hear your dreams for what's to come in October. So make sure you are reading more books, and I will talk to you later. Bye.